Charles Leclerc entered the final stint of the race in a strong position, poised to challenge for a podium. Yet within a few laps, his speed vanished. Ferrari's promising result began to slip away as rivals closed in and passed. What happened was not a simple case of tire wear or strategy. According to an insider close to the team, a deeper technical issue caused the sudden loss of pace, leaving Ferrari scrambling for answers long after the checkered flag. The revelation highlights how small, hidden factors can transform a competitive race into a defensive struggle. Leclerc's initial pace was consistent, his lap times strong, and his feedback positive. Then, as the final stint unfolded, the performance curve shifted dramatically downward. Ferrari engineers could only watch as the data confirmed what the world was seeing. Their lead car was falling back. This single moment exposed an underlying vulnerability in Ferrari's race execution. It was not just about one lost result. It was a glimpse into why Ferrari continues to fight for consistency in a season defined by narrow margins. Ferrari entered the race with a clear two-stop strategy, aiming to maximize tire performance. The opening stints went according to plan. Leclerc stayed competitive, holding position while managing his tires effectively. However, the timing of his final stop placed him on a compound that required precise management under challenging track conditions. Initially, the choice seemed correct. Leclerc's first few laps after the stop were fast enough to defend against immediate threats, but the degradation rate soon became steeper than expected. Ferrari's simulations had not accounted for the evolving track temperature and the higher energy load on the tires in the final phase of the race. This miscalculation left Leclerc vulnerable. As tire performance dropped, Ferrari was forced into damage control. Without the ability to pit again, Leclerc's only option was to minimize losses. But even that proved difficult. The strategy, while logical on paper, failed under the real-world pressures of race day. This single oversight created the perfect storm, turning what should have been a controlled finish into a relentless struggle against fading grip. Tire management has always been a critical factor in Formula One, and at this race, it became Ferrari's undoing. According to insider reports, the team underestimated the level of degradation during the closing laps. The compound chosen for Leclerc's final stint demanded a delicate balance between speed and conservation. Leclerc pushed hard initially to protect his track position, but this early aggression accelerated tire wear. Once the tires dropped out of their optimal window, recovery was impossible. Ferrari's engineers monitored the data in real time, but the degradation curve steepened faster than expected. This was not simply a driver issue. The insider revealed that Ferrari's car setup contributed to the problem. Higher than ideal sliding in certain corners generated excess heat, which further punished the tires. By the final 10 laps, Leclerc was managing more than just worn rubber. He was fighting a car that had lost its stability. In Formula One, a small miscalculation in tire strategy can have massive consequences. For Ferrari, this mistake was the deciding factor between defending a podium and conceding valuable positions. Modern Formula One depends on precision data analysis, but in this race, Ferrari's numbers told only part of the story. The insider revealed that the team relied heavily on pre-race simulations, which predicted tire life under stable conditions. What they failed to anticipate were the subtle variables that unfolded during the race itself. Track temperature rose slightly higher than expected, and this shift was enough to alter the tire wear curve. Meanwhile, Leclerc's mid-stint battles with traffic forced him into aggressive driving lines, which generated additional tire stress. Ferrari's engineers identified these anomalies too late. By the time the data indicated abnormal wear patterns, Leclerc's pace had already begun to drop. The team faced a dilemma: instruct him to slow down to preserve what was left, or risk losing even more positions by pushing. Ultimately, they were reactive rather than proactive. This delay in recognizing the problem allowed rivals to close the gap. The overlooked data point was not catastrophic on its own, but in combination with strategy and setup, it became decisive. Car setup plays a pivotal role in how tires perform over long stints. Ferrari's choice for this race, according to the insider, leaned toward maximizing qualifying speed rather than long-run durability. This decision, while effective for grid position, left the car more sensitive to tire wear under race conditions. Leclerc's feedback during practice hinted at the car's tendency to slide on corner exits, especially in medium-speed sections. While the team made adjustments, their priority was extracting single-lap pace. This trade-off became costly in the final stint, where stability and tire preservation mattered most. Ferrari's rivals, particularly McLaren and Mercedes, appeared to focus on race trim balance, accepting slightly slower qualifying speed for stronger race day consistency. This contrast became clear as Leclerc's pace collapsed, while competitors maintained steady performance. The insider's analysis suggests that Ferrari's setup philosophy remains a recurring weakness. By prioritizing short-term speed, they expose themselves to long-term performance risks. In a sport where every choice has consequences, this one left Ferrari vulnerable at the worst possible moment. Charles Leclerc is known for his ability to extract performance even under adverse conditions, but in this final stint, his options were limited. The car beneath him no longer responded as expected. Front-end grip faded, rear stability weakened, and every attempt to push harder only worsened tire wear. Leclerc's driving style thrives on precision and confidence in corner entry. Once that confidence was gone, his lap times began to drift. He managed to keep the car on track, avoiding major errors, but the pace deficit was impossible to hide. Rivals, armed with better tire performance, closed in relentlessly. From the cockpit, Leclerc could feel the loss of control. He adapted by altering his braking points and softening his corner entries, but these changes only mitigated, rather than solved, the problem. The insider noted that Leclerc's composure under pressure prevented the situation from becoming even worse. Without his skill, Ferrari might have lost more positions. Yet even his talent could not mask the underlying technical flaws that caused the drop in pace. While Ferrari struggled, their rivals seized the moment. McLaren and Mercedes, equipped with stronger long-run balance, targeted Leclerc's weakening pace. Each lap brought them closer, their consistent tire performance contrasting sharply with Ferrari's decline. The insider highlighted how rival teams adjusted mid-race. Their engineers monitored Leclerc's lap times and instructed their drivers to apply pressure exactly when Ferrari was most vulnerable. This tactical precision transformed Leclerc's defensive drive into an impossible task. Red Bull, meanwhile, was already out of reach, but the battle behind them became a showcase of how quickly momentum can shift in Formula One. Once Ferrari's weakness became obvious, the competition didn't hesitate to exploit it. By the final laps, Leclerc was no longer racing to gain positions. He was racing simply to minimize the damage. His ability to hold on to any points at all reflected his determination. But it could not hide the reality. Ferrari had been outmaneuvered, both strategically and technically, by teams who adapted faster and executed more effectively. The insider's explanation sheds light on why Ferrari's pace vanished so abruptly. It was not a single mistake, but a convergence of factors: strategy, setup, and delayed data interpretation. Each element compounded the other until Leclerc's performance collapsed in the final stint. According to the source, the most alarming aspect was Ferrari's lack of real-time adaptability. While other teams made small but decisive tactical adjustments, Ferrari held to their original plan, hoping the situation would stabilize. It never did. This cautious approach, the insider suggested, reflects a larger issue within Ferrari's operational structure. Their commitment to pre-race planning often prevents them from reacting quickly enough to live race developments. In a sport measured in fractions of a second, this rigidity is a costly flaw. Ferrari's engineers have reportedly acknowledged the problem internally. Whether they can fix it in time to prevent similar scenarios remains uncertain. For Leclerc, however, the damage in this race was already done, his strong drive undone by a team unable to adapt fast enough. Ferrari's collapse in the final stint was not just a technical failure, it was a harsh lesson in race execution. The insider's account underscores the need for sharper in-race decision-making and a more flexible approach to strategy. In modern Formula One, planning is essential, but so is the ability to pivot when conditions change. Tire degradation. Modeling must become more dynamic. Setup choices must balance qualifying speed with long-run stability. And, perhaps most importantly, Ferrari must learn to act decisively in real time, rather than waiting until it's too late. Leclerc's performance offered proof of what the car is capable of in its optimal window. The challenge now is ensuring that window remains open until the checkered flag. Hungary may be remembered as a painful reminder, but it can also be the spark for meaningful change. Ferrari's response to this setback will determine whether they remain locked in their current cycle or finally evolve into the title-contending force they aspire to be. The insider's revelation about Leclerc's lost pace paints a clear picture. Ferrari's race was undone by an avoidable combination of strategy, setup, and execution. It was a stark reminder that even in a season full of small margins, one misstep can transform potential into disappointment. This was not simply about losing positions, it was about exposing the weaknesses that still hold Ferrari back from matching their rivals. Every race is a test, and in this test, Ferrari fell short. Not because of Leclerc's performance, but because the team around him could not deliver the adaptability required at the highest level. Yet within this setback lies an opportunity. By confronting the truth behind this failure, Ferrari can begin to rebuild. They have the drivers, the resources, and the talent to respond. What they need now is precision in execution and the courage to evolve. In the unforgiving world of Formula One, this race may prove to be the turning point Ferrari desperately needs if they choose to act.